Hello everyone, it's me, Cole Denise Beezer, back again with a new video for the new year. If you saw my previous video, you'll know that I covered my top 10 for 2025, and so I'm back now covering my top 10 most anticipated for 2026. And I gotta say, I'm pretty pumped up for this video, because as of the time of recording this, I have just finished watching the Steelers play the Ravens for the division champion, or the division title, if you will, and yeah, what an exciting last 2 minutes of football. Wow, some of the most intense / exciting I've seen in a while. Boy, there was like moments where I thought, I was like, yeah, we've got this in the bag. I'm a Steelers fan, by the way. I was like, we got this in the bag. We're totally going to win. And then it's like, oh no, we're going to lose. Oh no, we're going to win. Oh no, we're probably going to lose. And then they blow it in the final seconds of the game and we win. And it's bad to enjoy that. Anyways, for today's video, for this list, like I said, it's going to be my top 10 most anticipated. But I'm also going to toss on a few honorable mentions. Mostly because those honorable mentions probably would be in the top 10. I'm just not sure they're actually going to release in 2026. Like, some of these are things that have been, announced. Like, these are things that we know, okay, they're coming. Like, they're definitely coming, and I'm very much excited to play them and try them out. I'm just not 100% sure that they'll actually release in 2026. They may do their crowdfunding in 2026, but you know how crowdfunding goes. Typically, they'll say, oh, it'll be delivered by this date. Half the time, it's never delivered by that date. It's usually like a 3 to 6 month to even a year plus delay, and normally that sort of thing doesn't bother me, but I'm a little reticent to say that I'm very much anticipating this thing that I know is going to be crowdfunded in 2026, but may or may not deliver in that time frame. It's a little, yeah. But certainly, if they do release, then okay, maybe they'll make my top 10 at the end of the year. But if they don't, then you know what I'm definitely anticipating for next year. But that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into my honorable mentions because I don't want this to drag on too long. So, kicking off this video proper with my honorable mentions, like I said, most of the things on the honorable mention list are things that have been announced, things that may be crowdfunding in 2026 but aren't necessarily guaranteed to also deliver in 2026. And I'll kind of explain that title by title. I've got, for my honorable mentions, I've put 5 on the list, and I'm going to kind of just run through them here. First up, we've got Cascadia Alpine Lakes. So, yeah, I've played Cascadia before, love Cascadia, but I'm very excited for what this potentially does to the series, because Alpine Lakes is a standalone game, and so I'm very much looking forward to what spin that sort of puts on the series. I know it's going to involve like layering the tiles on top of each other, so now height is going to be a factor, which sounds really interesting. Like I said, I've always enjoyed Cascadia, so I'm keen to check out the new game in the series, but much like regular Cascadia, I don't own regular Cascadia, and even if I did, it's one of those that probably wouldn't hit my table as much as a lot of the other games in my collection do. Not saying it's a bad game because of it or anything, no. It's just, I know the kind of game, I'm more of a heavy gamer, and I like more of the heavy games, and so this being a lighter title may not always hit the table, and so if I'm struggling, if I'd be struggling to get Cascadia to the table, I imagine I'd also be struggling to get Cascadia Alpine Lakes, but when it does come out, I know somebody's going to get it, and I'm going to get to play it, and I'm very much excited and looking forward to that. So, for me, that's one of my honorable mentions here is Cascadia Alpine Lakes. Next up for my honorable mentions, I've got Arctica by This Way, the same folks that are going to be releasing Ice Unlimited, or Ice 2nd Edition, if you will. As you'll know, that was a game that was on my list for last year's most anticipated. And yeah, so this is going to be the next game in that series, if you will, and I'm interested. I'm definitely interested in checking it out, but I'm given their track record, and I'm not trying to say this in a negative way, but I have to imagine if they're going to be crowdfunding this in 2026, there's a high odds that it's not also going to release in 2026. So this is one that I'm reticent to put on my top 10 proper. But everything I've seen so far, the artwork looks beautiful. I mean, it did in Ice Unlimited. I mean, people raved about the cover, if nothing else. But yeah, like I said, the artwork looks really great. It's got all these, like, colorful, I don't necessarily want to say cute, but close, kind of. Different, like, Arctic animals and things like that, but also the prototypes that I've seen so far, it looks like you got, like, this little square box, and you've got these gears on top of it, and, like, I think that, like, things go in, like, the wedges of the gears, and, like, as they rotate, like, they're either gonna, you know, potentially fall off the box. Like, I don't really know a lot about it. So, yeah, but everything, like, all the artwork I've seen so far, like, everything promises, like, looks like it'll be a good game, so I'm very much interested in checking that out, learning more, maybe even backing the crowdfunding campaign when that launches. So, there's that one as well. The next two items that I put on my list both come from the same publisher. One of my top 3 publishers of all time, I would say, and so that should be a giveaway right there. Who among my top 3 publishers are going to have multiple things coming out this year? And, oh boy. For me, it's got to be The Great Sea and The Towers of Sifnos by Garphill Games. First up with The Great Sea, everything I've seen about this, it's in their Ancient Anthology line, and it feels similar to Chaos Order, which I've never played, though I would love to get my hands on someday. But The Great Sea feels in that similar, like, it's like a 3-person, you know, like, area control style of game, if you will. And so, like, there's, like, these different tracks. Like, you got, like, a trade track and a combat track, and I think there's, like, maybe, like, a victory point track, or, like, a third track or something that, like, you're competing to go up on, and so it's, like, this really interesting, yeah. I don't know a whole lot about it other than the brief description that I've read on BGG and the few pictures that I've seen of it so far, but for me, everything that Garphill puts out, I enjoy. Like, I don't think I've played a game of theirs that I'm like, oh, this is terrible, I'll never play this again. I don't think anything's hit that point for me yet, and yeah, so that's one I'm definitely looking forward to. And I love the way that this one was announced. It was just so great that, like, they were doing, like, a bunch of secret teases for one of their other games that's coming out in 2026. And so, like, every, like, week or so they would drop, like, a video on their socials and, like, oh, they're like, they were pretending that they're going around the office, and it's like, oh, can we maybe get a sneak peek at something about the secret project? And it's like, every video would be like, oh, look, Shem left his computer open, can we see anything? No. And then, like, in one of the videos, they pan to their game shelf, and it's like, there sits The Great Sea, and it's like, what the heck is that? And it's like, they're like, that's not the secret project, and it's like, but it was great. I love it. They were very on point with that whole campaign. It was fantastic. And yeah, that's The Great Sea. But the other one, the Tower of Sifnos, they dropped that in, or they announced that, I should say, in a live stream that they did last month. They were talking about, like, some of the upcoming stuff they got, like Spirited, and how their campaign for Secret Societies is chugging along. Like, I mean, it's already been crowdfunded. It's just in the production stages and all that fun stuff. So they were talking about that, and yeah, they revealed the Towers of Sifnos. And again, it's another game in their Ancient Anthology line. It looks like this rather interesting, like, when I look at the board, I almost get a feeling of, like, the game Owari by Thundergriff Games. It gives me a similar vibe, like this area control, and you're building up towers, or totems, if you will. Or at least it was totems in Owari. I think it's just towers and Towers of Sifnos, but yeah. It looks like another game that I would very much enjoy because, yeah, like I said, I enjoy Owari, and if this is anywhere close to that, I know I'm going to enjoy it. And even if it's not, like I said, Sam McDowell and Shem Phillips just knock it out of the park for me every time. So I have very little doubts that I'm going to enjoy this one as well. And then I would say the last one on my honorable mentions probably has to be if I knew this would release in 2026. It's gonna hit crowdfunding next month, and if I knew it was coming out this year, this would be number one on my list, no questions asked. But my last honorable mention for this portion has to be Brass Pittsburgh. I mean, I love Brass Birmingham. I even love Brass Lancashire. Part of me really wishes I did own Brass Lancashire just so I could forcefully get it to the table more often. But as it stands, I know at least like 2 people that own Lancashire, whereas I don't. And if I really want to play, I can just bug them or borrow their copy or whatever. But yeah, everything I'm seeing about Brass Pittsburgh, I mean, yeah, it looks like it's adding more in every direction, and it feels like it's borderline, like a lot, like borderline overwhelming almost. And it's like, I'm very curious how everything they're showing is going to interplay with each other, because you've got like 2 rail eras, and you've got like all these different routes, and you've got like specialty trains, and you've got like a bunch of like, it's not just like one central market, if you will, that it's like, oh, as long as you connect to any of these outlying cities, you can pull from that central market. It's like, no, we have all these like split markets, and it's like, if you connect to this one, you can get these things, but if you connect to that one, you can get these things instead. But you can't hop between them, if you will. So if you connect to this one, you can't grab from that one, and vice versa. And it's like, wow. And then there's like more than just the 2 basic resources of like iron and coal. There's like, I think there's now coke and steel and others, and it's crazy. And I'm very much excited to see how they make it all come together, because some people share the same concern. That's like, is this just going to be an overwhelming mess of like, how's this all going to mesh together? But then at the same time, like, I'm hearing early reports from like diehard fans and playtesters that are like, oh man, this is like the best Brass yet, and like the way everything just interplays, it's so good. And it's like, so yeah, I'm very excited. And of course they get Mr. Cunnington back to do the artwork, and I mean, what's not to love? I mean, come on, like, and we're gonna get like 3 different covers, like that's insane. And I might not know which one to choose, and am I gonna have to like back for 3 copies of the game so I don't have to choose? It's like, oh man. But yeah, I am super excited for Brass Pittsburgh, and I have zero doubts. Like, the amount of care and attention and detail and love that Roxley Games puts in to their productions, I have no doubt this is going to be top tier. And I'm sure they'll do a deluxe edition that I will absolutely get, and I'm sure it will come with the Ironclaves, of course. And so, yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. I would love it if it comes out in 2026, but I think for this to get the proper release it deserves, I don't think it's going to release. I mean, it might barely. Depends how far along they already are in development and all that, but yeah. Regardless, I'm very much excited for it, and that's gonna wrap it up for my honorable mentions, though. So that was Cascadia Alpine Lakes, Arctica by This Way, and that's Cascadia Alpine Lakes by AEG and Flat Out Games. I keep forgetting to mention that. We've got the Great Sea and the Towers of Sifnos by Garfield Games, and then Brass Pittsburgh by Roxley Games. So with that out of the way, we're going to move into my top 10 proper. Apologies everyone, but I realized as I was editing this video that I had forgotten a crucial game that I wanted to put on my honorable mention. Much in the same way that I was putting some of these others. This one I wasn't sure will actually release in 2026, but I believe it is going to hit crowdfunding relatively soon here. So I wanted to make sure this one got on the list. I'm kicking myself for somehow forgetting about this one, because I've been anticipating it ever since it was announced, I think early last year. But the hopefully last honorable mention I've got for you then has to be Galileo's Truth by Thundergriff Games. Excuse me. This is the follow-up to Darwin's Journey, and you know I very much love that game. I recently put it on my top 10 of all time, if I'm not mistaken. That being said, I don't know much about the gameplay specifically, but thematically it sounds very interesting. I know this isn't the first Galileo game to come out, but I think this is going to be the best Galileo game that is going to come out. I love this idea that like Darwin's Journey was all about Darwin's journey through the Galapagos Islands, and now this is going to be like Galileo's, I don't want to say journey, but like his efforts in studying the stars and astronomy and all that fun stuff. But more so doing it in a time period when it was considered borderline blasphemy to be studying all these things, that like it was an affront to God almost, to be like, how dare you, like some of what they were learning and discovering was like challenging the very beliefs that some people had, and it's like, oh boy. So it was this interesting time period where it's like you could study these things, you might later be crucified for it, but that, and so it's interesting that like they have some of that idea in this game, that it's like you're trying to gather all this knowledge, but trying not to anger the religious leaders of the time, you know? So it's like, it's going to be this interesting balance, if you will, and so I'm very curious where they go with all that. I know they've been drip feeding some information about the gameplay, but I've got a lot going on, haven't been able to keep up with it, but if it's anything like Darwin's Journey, I know it's going to be fantastic, and so that has to be my last honorable mention. That is Galileo's Truth by Thundergriffin Games, and I hope this is the last honorable mention for sure. You'll find out if I jump cut to something else, but if not, let's go ahead and move on to my top 10 proper. Moving on then, we are going to look at my number 10 most anticipated for 2026. And first up is an expansion on my list. I can spoil now, this will not be the first, this will not be the only expansion on my list. But yeah, number 10 for me has to be the Rats of Wistar expansion, the Clans and Portals expansion. Rats of Wistar is a rather interesting game for me. I like what it has going on. I like this idea that like you have that little rondel that is like, here are like the 6 actions you can take each round, but where they're positioned is like, well, where the actions are positioned don't change, but the bonuses you can get for taking those actions rotates every round, and so it's rather interesting. Like this round's like, oh, if I do this action I can get this bonus, but then the next round, if I do this action I get this other bonus, and it's just like timing all of that, it's like, and then plus you have like your little mice that you can move around between the 3 sections so that when you take a particular action you can do more of that action, and then just like kind of figuring out, it's like, okay, I want to do this action this turn, so then I need to make sure that I somehow move my mice over to this other section, so when I take the next action the next turn, like I can do a bunch of that as well, and timing all of that, it's fantastic. And then you have this house that you can explore, and I think the game has a fair amount of variability or randomness in setup to give you a decent amount of replayability, but part of me feels like some of the motions feel rather similar from game to game. Like, what you're doing overall doesn't change too terribly much, but I'm very interested to see what the Clans and Portals expansions adds to that. Like, I think it's like you get this double-sided board or whatever that you're overlaying atop of the house. It's like you're no longer thematically exploring a house. You're now like, there's like this winding trail that you can explore, or like there's these portals that like you can go hopping through and exploring all of that. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what it adds, and I know I've got some friends that very much enjoy the game, and so I know they're very much looking forward to it. And it's always helpful to me if I'm anticipating something, but my friends are also anticipating it. It makes it easier to then be excited and get it to the table, because it's a struggle sometimes when there's games that it's like, I know I would love this and I know I would want to play this, but if none of my friend groups share the same enthusiasm, it almost sometimes makes those games dead on arrival, and it makes it hard to get those games to the table. And so that can be a little frustrating sometimes, that it's like, oh man, like I really like this game, or like this game is really good, but the people that I play with don't really love it as much as I do. Not to say that it's a bad game or that even they think it's a bad game. It just doesn't click with them or connect with them or hit with them. You know what I mean. But yeah, I know that people like Rats of Wistar, and so I know they're very much looking forward to the expansion as much as I am. So that's really great, and I look very much forward to that. That is the Rats of Wistar expansion by Cranio Creations, I believe, because I'm pretty sure that Capstone Games is not handling the U.S. distribution / release of this game. So yeah, I could be wrong. Then we'll see what happens. Either way, I backed the crowdfunding, so my copy is secured. I know that's for sure. But yeah, that's going to be my number 10, though. The Rats of Wistar Clans and Portals expansion. Next up on the list is going to be my number 9 most anticipated for 2026. And my number 9 for me has to be the upcoming Hanami by Keymaster Games and designed by Reiner Knizia. I want to point that out because I did just learn the other day that, I mean, it's been a bit of a running thought that Reiner Knizia is one of the most prolific designers in the industry, and certainly that's not without merit. He is very prolific, but part of what I learned is that he's actually not the most prolific. But I mean, if you were to compare the number of releases relative to the quality of those releases, I certainly think it is safe to say that he is the most prolific, because there's like one other person whose name I can't even remember right now that has technically more games published than him, but like a vast majority of them aren't nearly as noteworthy as most of Reiner Knizia's designs are. And more to the point, last year was actually like a banner year for him. Like Reiner Knizia had like roughly 50 published titles in 2025, which is just insane. Like, where does the man have the time? Like, you think about it, that's like a new game every week almost. It's like, good grief. And like, I can't imagine, to not only come up with these things, but then to design them and playtest them and then send them off to publishers and then they pick them up and do further testing and conferring and all this and that. And it's like insane. The man's a machine. I don't know how he does it. And like, I'm not even sure. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. But yeah, to be quite frank, I can't tell you much about Hanami itself in terms of gameplay. I know it's based on an older title of his, Samurai. But from what I'm seeing, the Keymaster Games has given this a very beautiful coat of paint and sort of a Japanese aesthetic / theme to it. But everything I'm seeing from it, it looks very pretty, and I'm a sucker for a pretty game. So, I mean, when you take a designer I love and pair it with an art style I love, I mean, when you take enough things that I love about this hobby and put it all into one game, then you have my interest. Even if I don't know anything about the gameplay, those other factors alone, yeah. And I know that my friend at the local game store is a backer of the crowdfunding campaign for this one, so we'll be getting copies in, and that's how I'll be securing my copy. So I am very much looking forward to getting that one and getting it to the table, because not only do I enjoy Reiner Knizia and his designs, I know that a lot of my friends do. I mean, granted, we can all agree that not everything he puts out is a smashing success, but I would say at this point he's a relatively safe bet. Like, I mean, I think it's more likely you'll pick up one of his games and enjoy it versus not. But that's just my opinion. I certainly could be wrong or in the minority on that one, but yeah, that's for me. My number 9 has to be Hanami by Keymaster Games, designed by Reiner Knizia. Continuing on, then we've got my number 8 on the list, and this is the next expansion on my list, and it will not be the last either. But number 8 for me has to be the Galactic Cruise Achievements expansion. Oh boy. If you didn't catch my last video, let me just say that, spoiler alert, Galactic Cruise was my number 1 game for 2025. This Galactic Cruise is a game I really enjoy. I mean, I know I've said before it is a complex game and it does have a lot going on, and that can be true, but I should clarify that, like, if you're deep into the hobby and you like playing other heavy games, like, once you get through the rules teach and you understand the flow of the game, it's actually not that complex. It's actually not that overwhelming and insane, but if you're used to lighter fare or not used to really complex, heavy games like this, then I can kind of understand. Your first time, especially if your head's not completely in the game, it can be a lot to grasp, and I get that. But once you understand what's going on, then it just makes sense and it all starts to flow. And like the basic idea that like you are a travel, like you're like a travel agency, you're like a Virgin Galactic, if you will, and like so you're building the ships and you're booking the cruises and getting the guests on the ships and going into space and having fun and getting all kinds of things, and yeah, it's just fantastic. And that's the thing, like understanding that flow of like, okay, what am I ultimately trying to do here? I'm trying to launch ships, but in order to launch ships, I need to get the segments to put in the ships, and I need to get the resources to be able to pay for them, and then once I have that, I need to book the cruise, I need to book the guests, I need to get the do all the things and get all the resources and this and that, and just understanding that you need to get all these things and just figuring out the flow of like what's it take to make that happen, and then making that happen, and then realizing, cool, I've launched my first ship, now what? Do I launch that ship again and I go through the process to get all the resources to do that, or do I start working on a second ship and then launching that and all this and that and back and forth, and it's fantastic. And yeah, that's the thing, like I haven't even fully deep dived into everything that I currently have for it. Like I haven't touched all the expansions. I've dabbled with some of them, but not all of them, and so I am definitely excited to continue playing it more and more to fully understand all that it has to offer. But that doesn't mean I can't also be excited about even more content coming. And yeah, I'm not 100% sure what the Achievements expansion adds. I could hazard a guess based on the name, obviously, but regardless, if you're going to give me more of a game that I absolutely love, there's very low odds that I'm going to say no. And this certainly has to be one of those cases where I absolutely am not going to say no. I absolutely am looking forward to this, and this is one that I think definitely should arrive this year, especially because the crowdfunding campaign was late last year, so for what it's worth, yeah, I see no reason why this one wouldn't arrive this year. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm very much excited for it, and that's the Galactic Cruise Achievements expansion by Keenston Key Games as my number 8. Next up on my list then has to be my number 7. And for me, this is another release coming from one of my top 3 favorite publishers. I've already mentioned this one in the video previously, so I'm just going to go ahead and go beyond out with it, and that's going to be Secret Societies by Garphill Games. This is one of those games that, like I said, I very much enjoyed the social media campaign they did in the run-up to the crowdfunding launch for this one. Yeah, they definitely had me intrigued. Like, what is this game? Like, what is it about? What's going on? Like, there was so much going on here, and like, I just loved it, and the way they did it was great. I mean, I hate to go so far as to say it was lightning in a bottle and it would be hard for them to ever do it again, but part of me hopes this wasn't just a one-off idea, that they might consider trying similar marketing schemes in the future, because it definitely worked for me and I know I had fun with it, so yeah. But Secret Societies, what I know of it feels very unlike anything they've done so far. It doesn't fit in with the medieval trilogies, and it doesn't fit within the Ancient Anthology line, and the closest it would fit in with is like the Circadians games, but like it doesn't even really fit in with that. I mean, the art style maybe a little, but even then, no. And speaking of the art style, I very much appreciated that they found like some tattoo artist in France, and it's like, that's crazy, and that's fantastic, and I love it, and the artwork is great, but yeah, it's like this auction/bidding game of sorts that you're like bidding on these secret societies, and yeah, it's really interesting. It, like I said, it feels very much unlike anything they've done so far, and I'm very curious to see what they do with it. I'm not to suggest that it would be bad or anything, but I always enjoy when they try something new and seeing what they can do with something new and what that can look like. And I mean, as I've mentioned previously, I've not been disappointed by Garfield games yet. I've very much enjoyed everything they do. I mean, certainly I do enjoy some things more than others, but I don't think I've played anything of theirs yet that I'm like, oh, this is terrible and I'll never play this again kind of a thing. It's like, I don't think they put anything out that reaches that level yet, which is good. Which means they know what they're doing and they're doing something right, and that's fantastic. And again, this is another one of those games that, like, given its mechanics and the look of it, I've got friend groups that are excited about this one as well, and so that makes it easier for me to be excited too, because if I'm very much anticipating something, and I know my friends are too, I know that when I get it in, it'll be real easy to be like, hey, let's play this. I just got this. I'm like, oh yeah, let's do it. It's great, fantastic, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And that's got to be, yeah, that's got to be my number 7. That's Secret Societies by Garfield Games. Continuing on then, we're up to number 6. And I would say that I should slightly apologize. I will admit that a lot of what I put on my list, I can only know so much about, and everything I've put on my list so far, I haven't really had a chance to play. Like, whether it was a prototype or a playtest or anything, like, I haven't had a chance to really play any of these, and I know the kind of person I am, and while I could probably take more time to better understand everything that the game has to offer, this isn't exactly something that is my strong suit. So even if I did that, I worry that I wouldn't be able to put all that out there in the way that I want to put that out there. It's like, and admittedly, I don't have like any sort of like a teleprompter or anything like that, and so like, but even if I had that, I don't know how well that would work for me. I don't know how helpful that would be, per se. But all that is to say is that if you're still with me so far and you're liking what you're listening to, then I hope you're going to like my number 6, because my number 6 is one that I actually have had the chance to play. And so I can speak a little more about it. And yeah, my number 6 is by one of my top 3 favorite publishers of all time. Or at least, if I had a list of them, I think this would certainly be one of the top 3 for sure. It's more of the party variety, which is very good because party games have been a bit of a hit here at my friendly local game store recently. Like we've had a bunch of people come in on like Fridays and Saturdays just looking to relax and have a little bit of fun, and party games have certainly been a driving force of that. But I do think, and this is good, I think we're starting to get to the point where it's like, okay, but what else is there? It's like they see all the wonderful games in our game library, and this is only a very small sample of the sheer amount of games that exist in this hobby. And this probably barely even matches what I have in my own personal library. And so, yeah, like they're curious about like moving beyond party games, and I'm all for that. And that's okay. Like I know this past Friday, it's like a bunch of people showed up, and it's like, do we want a party game or do we want to split up? And like I think we split up into 2 groups, and each of the groups were doing their own thing, and so it was great, and I had a great time. And yeah, but even so, we can still enjoy the occasional party game, especially if it's a new and fun one. And I think this is going to be right up there. Like some of the ones that we enjoy here, we enjoy things like Cockroach Poker and Coup and Flip 7 and all those games. But yeah, I think this is going to be the next big hit, if you will, for like not just the people that I play games with, but for a lot of people who play games with their friends casually and things like that. But enough bluster. I'm going to jump right in and say that my number 6 is Excalibur by Roxley Games. And I am all in for the fancy collector's edition that's going to have like the really nice metal swords and the box with the magnetic clasp and all of that, and it's kind of like these really nice acrylic like tokens and everything. It's going to be beautiful, and I got to sample that at PAX Unplugged last month because it was in late November. yes, in late November. I was there, I was with a friend, and I was like, hey, we should go get a demo of this, because, like, I'm really, like, I backed this. I've watched other people, like my dear friend Bonzinator and her whole crew with, like, Tim Schwan and all them. They got to go to some castle, and they got to film, like, promotional videos for the game, and, like, everything I could see from them, they were having a fantastic time, and yeah, and it's like, I want to share in that experience, like. That's one of my things. When I watch the old tabletop videos featuring Will Wheaton, and I would see the fun that they're having, like they're playing the Resistance and they're laughing and having a great time. I was like, man, I want to be able to play that game and have that same experience. Like, I want to have that fun. I want to share that laughter, and so I'm always kind of chasing that excitement, that laughter, that fun, if you will, and certainly. I was feeling that with Excalibur, so when I went to PAX Unplugged, I was like, oh man, they're running demos of this. It's like, I pinged my friends, like, hey, we should meet up at the Roxley booth at some point and get a demo, and we worked out our schedules, and we did that. Unfortunately, it was just the two of us, and there really wasn't many people around at the moment that were ready to just jump in, so it was only the two of us that got to play, but even so, I could see where it was fun enough at 2 players. But I can also see where it would be amazing at more players. Then it's like, basically you've got like this big pool of like acrylic tokens that are like face down on the table, and then they're like divided into 3 sections with the 3 swords that come with the game. And on your turn, you're basically like, you have like some chips in your hand. You'll play a chip face up. It'll tell you to do things. Like maybe you swap a chip with like one that's in the middle, or you steal somebody's chip and then they get a new one from the middle, or like you pass them one and then take one back or whatever, and it's great. And you're just trying to essentially, you want to have the Sword of Excalibur in front of you at the end of the game, because then you win. But what you don't want is the cursed sword in front of you at the end of the game, because then you lose. And if you have both, it's like this quasi, like, you get like a tainted victory or something. It's crazy and it's fun, and yeah, the two of us were playing. It's like, okay, I think I know where the sword is. It's like, I have it at the moment, and my friend takes it, and then they have it, and it's like, I think they have it, but maybe they swapped it with there, I don't know, and we're just trying to figure out where it is and get it. And it's like, I mean, it was fun. And what they were showing off felt like near final production, if it wasn't in fact like, I don't think it was quite like a mass production copy. It couldn't have been at that point, but I mean, maybe it could. I don't know, but like, it looked very beautiful, and I was very excited to get to play it. And now I really cannot wait for my copy to arrive so that I can start enjoying it more and more and more. And like I said, Roxley with their like super fancy collector's edition just did an amazing job, because like they had like samples of that there in PAX Unplugged, and like those swords, like the metal was really nice and clinky, and it was great, and oh man, and even the insert, like they really thought this all through. It was like the box, the insert, everything was just fantastic. And so yeah, I mean, I cannot wait for that one to arrive. I know that all the groups that I play games with, we're just going to have a great time with it, and it's going to be great. So that's my number 6, Excalibur by Roxley Games. All right, we are in the top half. We are in the final 5. We're on number 5, for that matter. And number 5 is going to be another expansion on my list. Now here's the thing about number 5, and partially why I'm trying to get this video out as quickly as I can, mind you. But no, my number 5, it's from a publisher who, if you follow the publisher relatively closely, one of the nice things that they do, I don't pay enough attention to it, I would admit, and I probably should pay more attention to it as someone who works in a friendly local game store, but that's neither here nor there. They put out a monthly newsletter, but they also have a page on their website where you can always grab the latest newsletter, but also get like this handy dandy chart of like, what's everything they're working on, and like it'll be a chart, and it'll have a list of games, like here's everything we're working on. Some of them might be games by their real names, or it might be games by their code names, but then it's got like all these different steps, like is it in design and development, or is it in like art design, or is it in graphic design, or is it like in pre-production, is it in like freight, or is it shipping, is it about to hit your store shelves in a week, who knows. But yeah, it breaks all that down for you. And so if you've followed along with the publisher, you would have known that my number 5 on my list, was coming. You would have known it was coming. You didn't know anything about it, but you knew, hey, it was coming. And it was like a week ago that I was like looking, and like I was talking to a friend about, we were playing the base game of this as well as some of the other expansions, and then we were talking about it. I was like, oh, I wonder what the next one's going to be. And it's like, because we knew there was going to be one, we just didn't know when it was going to come. And then like that night I went home and I looked, and it was like, hey, the next one should be coming out in the next 3 months. But then more than that, the next morning I saw a post from the head of this publisher. It's like, hey, I'm going to be going live later today, and I'm going to tell you everything that we're doing in 2026, including what is my number 5 on the list. And so I'm going to jump right in and say that my number 5 has to be the forthcoming Wingspan expansion. That is the South/Central America / Caribbean expansion for Wingspan. And so, like I noted, this past week, Jamie Stegmaier did a live stream and just shared everything they're going to be doing in 2026. And boy, if you're a real big fan of Stonemaier Games, you have a lot to be excited about. He dropped like 9 new things on that stream. So like, it was obviously the Wingspan expansion, it was like the Finspan expansion, a mini expansion for Origin Story, like the Euphoria Essential Edition, and even a wholly new game that'll be out in Q4, releasing at Essen. And it's like, yes, there's a lot to look forward to if you like Stonemaier Games. But for me specifically, I'm very much looking forward to the next Wingspan expansion. I've got everything you can possibly have at this point. I've got the base game, the first 3 expansions, the fan art pack, the fan designed birds. I've got the nesting box. I sleeve all my cards. I'm the crazy person. Some people tell me, oh, you don't need to do it, but it's like, I want to do it anyways, and it's already done, and I'm not going to undo it at this point, so come on. But yeah, I've got like acrylic tokens for all the food resources. I've got like a wooden bird feeder. I've got a wooden cutout bird for like the start player marker. I've got the golden eggs, the stone eggs, like the speckled eggs. I mean, if they've officially put anything out for the game, I have it. But I digress. The 4th expansion, covering South America, Central America, and the Caribbean. One of the big things they're going to add is hummingbirds, but not hummingbirds in the sense that have already been put in the game hummingbirds, but hummingbirds like a new type of card, a card that is smaller, that doesn't have a lot of the same details, like game-wise details on the cards, but like there's going to be this new central board, and players will have the opportunity to interact with that, and so they'll be able to attract those hummingbirds. And like, I think there are bird powers that'll care about those new types of hummingbirds that you've attracted and things like that. And I don't know much more about that because not much more has been said about that. But what has been said is, surprise, the expansion's dropping January 21st. Now, I know that's January 21st directly on their web store, or for Stonemaier Champions members, if you will. So I don't know how much longer after that it'll hit retail. I know it shouldn't be terribly long, like maybe a month at most. But regardless, I very much am looking forward to getting my copy when it arrives. But yeah, that's why I wanted to get this video out relatively quickly, because I'm gonna blink and it'll be here, and it's like, oh boy. So we're already starting the year off with a bang. Like, there you go. That's just fantastic. So yeah, I mean, I wish I did have more to say about this, but I only know as much as the publisher's willing to share, and at the moment, they're a little light on the details. But they did say that I think this coming week, or maybe the week after, they're going to be doing another live stream, and they're gonna say a lot more about it. So I am very much looking forward to that and learning more about it. But yeah, that's got to be my number 5 on the list, the next expansion for Wingspan by Stonemaier Games. Barreling down the list then, we're going to move on and talk about my number 4. My number 4 is another anticipated release on my list that I have actually played. So I can speak a fair bit about this one. This is probably This is probably one of the more unique entries on my list, and I'm going to explain why that is. But my number 4 is a game that feels very much like lightning in a bottle. That it's like one of those things that they're only going to do like one print run of, and then never anymore. And there are reasons for that. And certainly the community has speculated, well, how could they do future print runs of this game and maintain a lot of what makes it special, but somehow reducing the cost and all that? Like, it feels very similar to like Foundations of Rome versus Foundations of Metropolis. How like they initially printed Foundations of Rome was fantastic, then they did a second campaign, and now it's basically at the point you can't get Foundations of Rome anymore. But like mechanically, the game's very interesting and people very much enjoy it, and they want to have a cheap way to be able to enjoy the game. And so that's Foundations of Metropolis. So you don't have any of the fancy like 3D miniatures with the sun drop and all that. You just got like cardboard tokens and chits and things like that. And I mean, it certainly works, but that's just one of those games. It's like you need those like 3D miniatures. You need that table presence. It really helps sell the game, in my opinion. And certainly, if you've played with those things, the idea of going back and not playing with them, it's like just like why? It's like if you have the special edition of Castles of Burgundy, why would you ever go and play any other edition if you can help it? You may not always be able to help it. Like I know, especially if you play a lot of Board Game Arena, special edition's not an option, so you do what you can to play the game. I get it, but I digress. No, number 4 for me has to be The Game Makers by Bezier Games. And why this is interesting for me is I haven't decided yet if I'm getting a copy. I've played it. I've played it a few times. I am actively in a game that is about to end. I think it's my turn at the time of recording this. And like in that game, like I thought I was doing well. And I've just been absolutely obliterated by one of my opponents. It's like they've done so much more in the same amount of time as I've done what I've done. And it's like I'm struggling to understand how they were able to successfully do everything that they did. It's like, how can anyone even be this good at the game? It's like, it's blowing my mind. Like, and I'm really trying not to be angry about it. Like, I'm not angry about it, but it's like, I'm a little frustrated, but like, I'm just trying to understand, like, how does someone even be this good at this game? Like, what am I not understanding? It's like, clearly I have a lot to learn because like, there's just something I'm not picking up, but man, the Game Makers, like, what I've seen of it so far, it's incredible. Like, physically, it's got a big table presence, takes up a lot of table space and all of that, but like, the artwork, like, I'm not gonna go out of my way and say like, oh, it's the prettiest game ever, but it's the idea that like, the Game Makers, it's a game all about publishing games, and so like you got the different aspects of all of that, but like, it's the artwork. And the fact that like you've got these cards that represent the games you're trying to publish, and it's like, okay, so here's a card that represents this game, and on this card is the different resources you need to be able to make that game, and or quote unquote fulfill that contract, if you will. So it's like, yeah, but the games that they show, they use the actual box covers for all those games, and it's like, there's like 300 cards, and so like getting the license to use all those box covers, it's insane. And yeah, like this game, I think it's anywhere from like, I don't know if it's $2 to $250 versus just like the standard deluxe versus like the extra pack of even more cards, or if it's $250 versus $300. I don't know, but like either way, it's over $200. And a lot of people were speculating, okay, like if we go back to the Foundations of Rome example, like how are they gonna make a Foundations of Metropolis edition of the Game Makers in the future? Because I mean, yeah, I've played it. It's a good game. It's by the same designer as Fromage and Formaggio, and as you'll know, those were 2 of my top 10 games for the years that they came out, so those are both fantastic. And I mean, yeah, I've played this. It's great. I think the more you play it, the more you understand some fundamental things. Like, you have this like assembly line, like as you like gather like the one type of component, it's like you can you could either save them as like components to fill contracts, or you can use them to fill up what's known as your assembly line. And if you fill that up in the right way, then it actually it can make things cheaper. So it's like, oh, instead of needing 3 cards for this contract, now you only need like 1 or 2, or instead of a level 3 worker, you only need a level 2, you know, things like that. And so, like, yeah, focusing on, like, putting a bunch of effort into filling that up, yeah, it actually is worth it in the end. But, like I said, I mean, it's great because you got this giant wheel that looks like a wheel you would see on a forklift type thing. You got what they call the Brody knob, and so like every turn, like that whole wheel is going to rotate, and it's going to expose like, okay, your forklifts are in this section, if you have any in that section, that is, and then like in the next 3 sections where you can move them to, here are the 3 different types of resources you can get, and then like every so often, like there's going to be like a soft reset that like some of the components that you've committed to things will now come back, and you can recommit them to get the bonuses you got previously all over again. It's like a break, if you will, and it's just, yeah, it's really great, and it's got this nice table presence. And I think I would actually prefer playing this physically versus playing it on VGA. I mean, because it is on VGA and I have played it on there, but like there are times when like the interface just frustrates me. That it's like I will like tap on a card to try and move it or learn more about it, and then like I get like a tooltip pop up like, here's a bigger version of the card. It's like, okay, now go away. Like it won't just frustrates me sometimes, and it's like, especially on the iPad, like if you tap anywhere you're not meant to tap, like it'll put up like this red box. It's like, you can't do that right now or something. It's like, yeah, I wasn't trying to. It's like, ugh. And then, of course, like, I think the one big thing that frustrates me is, like, you have, like, this marketing section that, like, one of the components you can get is dice, and you can use the dice to fill contracts, or you can use the dice to use their value to move up on these tracks, and, like, the higher up you move on these tracks, the more points you get for certain things in the game. And the thing is that on the table, you would know exactly what it takes to get to the top, but when you're playing on VGA, that's not so obvious. That like maybe you're like right on the line, like you're in like the second section and you're about to hit the line for the third section, but then you can't see how far away is the very top. Like, am I 5 away or am I 6 away? So it's like, if I roll this die, like would it be better to put it over here so I'm not wasting any of it, or do I put it over here and max myself out, but oh wait, because I couldn't see where the top was, I wasted like half the die getting there. And it's like, oh, I wish they could just show you the whole thing, or just have some way to let you know, here's how much more you need to hit the top. But yeah, I digress. The Game Makers. Yeah, and you got these little forklifts that on the different sections as you're moving around the board. Yeah, everything about it just looks amazing, and it looks fantastic, and it's a pricey game. And I don't say that to deter anyone, I'm just on the fence, because that's the thing, like, I've played this, and, like, I feel like I'm doing good, but then, like, the game that I just mentioned earlier that I'm in, and how I'm getting destroyed, props to my opponent for what they're doing, but it's like, it makes me wonder then, it's like, am I just genuinely bad at the game, and, like, this is how my experience is going to be? Because some of the friend groups that I play with, and one of my friend groups, they are getting this game, and I know we'll be playing it a lot, but, like, is it going to be a similar thing where they're just going to consistently destroy me, and it's like, will that be true of all my friend groups? And that's one of those games, it's like, there are other games like that, like It's a Wonderful World. Like, I don't know what I'm not doing right, but I can never seem to win a game. And no matter how hard I try, no matter how I go about it, it's like, even when I think I'm doing well, nope. And so it's like, do I want this game? Yes. Do I want this game because it's limited? Yes. Do I want this game because it's good? Also yes. But I don't know. I'm still on the fence about if I want to get this game, if I'll actually continue. Will I get better at the game, or will I kind of stagnate and stay where I am? And every game is going to feel kind of frustrating to me. And yeah. So I don't know. But regardless, I'm excited to play it. Like, even if I don't go out of my way to get my own copy, like I said, my one friend group is going to get it. I know we're going to play it a bunch. They're very much excited for it. And that's the thing that helps, is having friends that are also excited about the things you're excited about makes it so much easier to get those things to the table. So, yeah, I am very much excited for the Game Makers, whether I get a copy for myself or not. So yeah, that is my number 4. That is The Game Makers by Bezier Games. So we're getting close now. We are getting close. We are in top 3 territory now. You know, what are the top 3 most anticipated things for 2026? And I feel like my number 3 is aptly positioned, if you will. This is probably, I would say my number 3 is the least not a game on my list, if you will. I could make the technical argument that it is in fact an expansion. I mean, certainly BGG classifies it as one, which is a bit weird considering what it is. Like, I think this is the, like, I think, yeah, this is the most barely an expansion you can get. But not. My number 3 most anticipated for 2026 has to be the Ark Nova 3D edition, or 3edition, however you want to pronounce, how they spell it / pronounce it. Yeah. The basics of this is that it's like, here's a bunch of 3D minis for your game of Ark Nova, and I personally love Ark Nova, and I very much love Ark Nova, and I love playing it. I very much look forward to this. Like, everything they've shown in the campaign, and I wish they would show us more, I really do, but everything they've shown so far just looks beautiful, and I am looking forward, like, because I went all in on this, and so yeah, I'm very much looking forward to having all of that, and the really nice acrylics, and even a nice storage solution. Isn't to say I don't have one already that I've managed to make work with what I have, but yeah, I am very much looking forward to this all-encompassing thing here. Granted, it does come in 2 boxes, so if I ever want to play it, it's probably going to be the only thing I bring with me to then get it to the table, but yes, I am very much excited about this. I was excited before the campaign launched, and now that it has, yeah. But that being said, it's not just the 3D miniatures. It is technically an expansion because they've got a new, quote-unquote, new set of player boards, or maps, if you will. But realistically, it's just the alternate maps that are available in Board Game Arena now in printed form. And that's the thing, the alternate maps on Board Game Arena, they're not strictly new. They just took every single one of the original 8 base game maps and reconfigured them. They all have the same abilities, they just reconfigured them, like the layouts of the maps, to like allow players to take different advantage of the, it's like, it gives them a different way to maximize the potential of the map, if you will. It's just a slightly different way to play. It doesn't, my understanding is that it wasn't meant to try and necessarily balance the maps. So if your group feels that a certain map is more powerful than another, they're probably going to feel the same way with these. But yeah, regardless, I play it, but not at such a high level to be like, oh, this map is clearly bad, or this one is clearly good. I mean, certainly I play it enough to understand, like, what makes a map better than another, so I know which ones I very much enjoy. So, but yeah, I legitimately can't wait to get this. I know that at this literal moment, though, Sanctuary is, of course, the new hotness. It is like, oh, Ark, some people say it's like, oh, it's Ark Nova Lite, or it's more streamlined, or some are even saying it's better, and it's like, I'm sure Sanctuary's good, and I'm sure I'll play Sanctuary at some point. But I do like Ark Nova. I like the interesting challenges that Ark Nova has to offer. I know some people aren't as enthralled by what it has to offer as I am, and that's fine, but I very much enjoy it. I don't find it to be too much. I know there can certainly be games where the card draw just isn't necessarily going your way, but I think it's all in how you adapt to those things, and yeah. So I do very much enjoy all of that, and like I said, I'm very much looking forward to everything that's coming with this new 3D edition. All the minis, all the acrylic, the metal coins, etc., you name it. Yeah, I'm all for it, and by all accounts, it should arrive in 2026, but we'll see what happens. that's got to be my number 3. That is the Ark Nova 3D edition by Feuerland Spiel. We're almost there. We're at my number 2. And if you followed me for more than a year, you might have a strong guess what my number 2 is. The fact that my number 2 is something that I've spoken about in previous videos, and the fact that I haven't mentioned it yet should be the strongest giveaway then of what my number 2 probably is. And my number 2 is the last expansion on my list. My number 2 was on my list for last year. It was one of my most anticipated for 2025. But unfortunately, it did not arrive in time. But from what I'm able to gather, it is on its way here. By the time I edit this video and upload it, it might be here. That would be fantastic. It'll probably be a little bit longer than that, mind you. I think it'll definitely arrive this month, and so I'm super excited for that. With any luck, it'll arrive before. Hopefully, it'll arrive before the Wingspan expansion arrives, so I can at least have some time to get this to the table before that arrives. You know, yeah. But no, my number 2 has to be the Oceania expansion for Darwin's Journey by Thundergriff Games. Yeah, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. I was doing a podcast episode with my friendly local game store. Which, yeah, we started doing a podcast. I haven't gotten around to promoting it personally yet. I don't know how I feel about that necessarily. Like, I enjoy the podcast, but it's like that feels more like business/work, and I don't know how I feel about promoting that personally. But also, like, do I really want to try and mix the two? I don't know, but here we are. But I'm doing this, and during that video during that podcast episode, we were covering like our top 10s of all time, and I'm pretty sure I definitely put Darwin's Journey on my top 10 of all time, because, yeah, when I first got it, like, I played it like a lot, and I don't play it as much at the moment, but I'm hoping that the Oceania expansion will reignite my love for the game, if you will. Yeah, I very much look forward to getting it more to the table, because like I remember in the early days when I first got Darwin's Journey, it's like I got it, I played, and I was like, oh, this is great. Now, granted, I was making mistakes like the first 5 times I played it, and like especially like the first 2 or 3, I was making major mistakes, and I was like, this feels bad. Like I actually, like, the first play, I made, like, the same mistake that the Dice Tower did, because, like, they played it, and they were like, ew, this is, like, a 6 or a 7, and then all the comments were like, oh, you know you're getting this one rule wrong, right? And they're like, oh, okay. And it was, like, one of the rare times I ever saw the Dice Tower, like, take down a video and reshoot and re-upload, because they were like, oh, yeah, we played it with the new rule, much better, or we played with the correct rule, much better. And it's like, yeah, now you see what I'm seeing, and... But, like, I remember getting it, and it's like the one day, it's like, we were in here, and things were crowded, like, we were, there was, like, no tables to spare, like, we were so busy, and then it's like, oh, I'm gonna take a table, and I'm gonna go behind the counter, and I'm just gonna lay it flat on the ground, and I'm just gonna set the game up on there, and I'm just gonna play there, I'm out of everyone's way, and if a customer needs anything, it was a whole thing, and I was like, oh, this is great. But yeah, and then, like, later on, getting to, like, the first time I got to play the Fireland expansion, I was like, wow. Like, it took, like, a 10 out of 10 and, like, made it an 11 for you. I'm like, wow, this is even better. It's like, I didn't think the game could get better, but then here we are, and it's like, wow. Because, like, the potential for combos, that is like, okay, so, like, I go explore on this island, which then gets me ship movement, which then gets me more exploration, which gets me in an adventure, and all this, that, and it's like, all these, like, crazy little combos, and it's like, you're doing, like, 5 or 6 things all in one turn, and it's like, your opponent's like, huh? How do you do that? And after a certain point, they're just like, yep, that's just Cole being Cole. He did the thing. I believe he did everything correctly. Whatever. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to give me more content for a game that I love, then yeah, I am very much excited about the Oceania expansion. As far as I can tell, it looks like it has a map board that you're now going in the opposite direction, which could be interesting. And it's got some, like, weird, like, I'll admit it's been a while since I've looked at it. I usually, when I back campaigns, it's like, yeah, I get excited. Like there's pockets where I get excited about things. It's like, oh, I can't wait for this to come, and like I'll look into it a little bit. But like it's been a minute since like I've actually looked into it, so I don't know a ton about the gameplay, and I haven't had a chance to check it, try it out yet or anything. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it, and I think with the game on its way, I'll see if I can get a copy of the rulebook to start reading up on that, because, I mean, if it's going to be here in the next few weeks, I want to make sure I'm ready to go for when it arrives. But yeah, that's just like last year. And I mean, maybe I had more to say last year. Maybe I was more prepared last year. I don't fully remember, but yeah. For as much as I love the game, I am super, super excited about more Darwin's Journey. And so I'm very much excited about the Oceania expansion. And, I mean, who knows? Like, the base game and the Fireland expansion went over well for them. I'm sure this will go over well. I hope it continues to go over well. I would love even more content if they got it. You know, this could very much end up on a similar scale to, like, Mirage or something, where you got, like, a bunch of maps that you can play on and things like that. So, yeah. My number 2 has to be Darwin's Journey Oceania by Thundergriff Games. We have arrived. We're at the end. The cream of the crop, the top of the top. We're at my number 1, most anticipated for 2026. Now, I've already mentioned this game, or I've said it once already in this video. It's by a publisher who, another one of their games was on this list in the honorable mention section. You'll also know that there was a very particular game from previous videos that I haven't said a whole lot about so far. I don't think I can say much more without giving it away, so I'm just going to say that my number 1 is Ice Unlimited, or Ice 2nd Edition by This Way. Yeah, this was a game that I was very much anticipating for 2025. And unfortunately, for a variety of reasons, it simply didn't deliver. I'm not broken up about it. I know it'll arrive eventually, and it will be of a fantastic quality when it does. That's the thing. I'm generally a more patient person. Admittedly, fun fact about me, I like to think that I am a very patient person. Like, I'm also I don't want to say I'm a creature of habit, but like, I like to stick to routines, if you will. And so, like, I know that, for example, like, once a week, I'll go to a particular fast food place and enjoy fast food. It's just what I do. It's just me. But I will physically go to the location, and I will sit there in restaurant, and while I'm eating my food, I will sit there and watch YouTube videos, you know, just kind of like relaxing and catching up on things and what have you. But I'll go there, I'll sit down, I'll place my order via their mobile app, and then I'll wait for it to arrive as I'm watching YouTube videos. And usually it takes like maybe 10 minutes. No big deal. But there's been times it's taken longer. There's been times where it's taken like 30, 40 minutes. And you know what? I'm not up in arms. I'm not at the counter screaming and shouting. I might stand up a few times. I might wander closer to the counter and be like, what's going on? You know, like, in my own head, of course. I'm not verbalizing this, but yeah. I'm generally a patient person. Like, I waited up to an hour before and haven't really gotten heated about it. I just can't see myself being the kind of person that does that. Anyways, enough story time with me. Let's continue on with my number 1. Ice Unlimited. It should for sure be here this year. I think if it doesn't deliver in 2026, then I may just have to get up in arms. Like, yeah, that might be enough to break me out of my patient person persona. But, no. Yeah. Ice Unlimited, everything I've seen about this, it looks so beautiful. I mean, the cover of the first edition was beautiful. It won a popular vote during the Dice Tower live stream. I mean, but the second edition looks fantastic. And like the new unlimited version, like they went all out. Like they studied the first edition. It's like, oh, here's all the things that could have been better, so let's make them better. And then here's the new unlimited edition. Comes in a big box and it's got a nice wooden insert by Laserox, and like all these really nice tiles, and like these boards with magnets that connect together, and it's like, and it's great. And like the thematic idea is that like you've got like this 3-tiered board, and like you layer all these tiles on the board, so you got like 3 layers of tiles, and then you're on ice and you're digging down through the ice, and like you're discovering like artifacts and other things, and it's like, wow, this is like just feels so cool. And then it's like it's got like variable player powers and like so many great things about it that, yeah, I've just been continually excited for it. But I think we're getting very near the end. Like, I don't know if the boats will hit the water before Chinese New Year, mind you, but I feel very confident that it is in fact coming this year, and I am very much looking forward to that. And I didn't want to give too much away earlier when I was talking about my honorable mentions, but for me that's another reason why Arctica is on my honorable mentions. Because as interested as I am in that game, I backed Ice Unlimited, haven't gotten it yet. And I'm not knocking the publisher, but it's like, I want to see if they can deliver on this one first before I get too excited about the next one, you know? If they can't even get my copy of Ice Unlimited to me, why do I want to take the chance on Arctica? But that's neither here nor there. Ice Unlimited, yeah, everything about it just looks fantastic. Like, I've seen some people talk about it previously and rave about it, and it's like, yeah, I want to play it too. And yeah, I'm just everything about it. It feels so fresh and original, and unlike a lot of what I've seen recently, if you will, like this idea that like you have this multi-layered like central board, and like you're digging down through the ice. That feels rather original to me at this point. Like, I haven't really seen much else that does that sort of thing, and so I'm always excited for newer mechanics like that, if you will. And yeah, and the artwork, phenomenal. Not just on the box cover, but like in general across like all the components and all of that. It's amazing. And yeah, I could go on, but I would probably be beating a dead horse at this point, because I'm saying a lot now, but I'm sure I said a lot about it in the last top 10 most anticipated video from last year. So yeah, that's, regardless, my number one is Ice Unlimited, or Ice 2nd Edition by This Way. And so that's gonna do it for this video. I want to thank you for coming along on this journey of me talking about my top 10 most anticipated for 2026. If I'm thinking about it, future me is going to flash either as a whole screen or like as a list on the side here. I'll put my hands away. Yeah. I'll flash the full list on the side here so that you can get a quick recap of everything that I put on my list. But yeah, I think I've got like a nice mix here of like lighter games and hobby games and party games and expansions versus like whole new releases and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I really think that we are at the moment in a bit of a gaming renaissance. I mean, I feel like games have never been better. But also, there's a lot of people that like to beg the question, is board gaming in a bubble that's about to burst, kind of thing. And it's like, I think it's just more ebbing and flowing, if you will. Like, I don't think it's like this bubble that is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and is just eventually going to burst. I mean, yeah, like you look at 2025. I mean, in some ways it was a rough year for certain publishers. Certainly there was a lot of drama around tariffs and things like that and how it's impacting the hobby, and I have no doubts that like it is impacting the hobby. It's not hard to look around and see what impact tariffs are having. Certainly some publishers haven't been able to weather the storm, and that's very unfortunate. But I think for some of these publishers, I think the tariffs were kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, but you know, like, that wasn't the only thing. If it wasn't that, it could have just as easily been something else, if you will. But I'm not an expert in those matters, so I'm not trying to speak or speculate on anything like that. I'm just thinking in general that I don't I don't necessarily think that we are in a bubble per se, but I do think that we're in a bit of a renaissance. That like at the moment, games are just great. There's like lots of new games coming out all the time, and like it's kind of hard to not turn a corner and be like, oh look, there's a new game. Like I mean, you can it's yeah. There's just a lot to be discovered out there, and it's fantastic. And to that end, like looking at my top 10 for to take a different beat for a moment, to look at like my top 10 for 2025, there were some things that made my top 10 for the year that weren't on my most anticipated list. And one of the biggest reasons for that was some things just were announced and released all in the same year after I recorded that video. It's like, well, I had no way of knowing. It's like, I think Formaggio was like the big one, that it's like they announced Formaggio after I recorded the video and then like released it all in the same year. And it's like, well, that for sure would have been on my most anticipated had I known it was going to be coming. Yeah. So it's and that's another fun thing to think about. Like, what's going to get released this year that I don't even know about? Because, like, I knew last year, look at all the things that get released at Gen Con that aren't announced until, like, weeks before. Or, like, especially PAX Unplugged 2 months ago. Like, Allplay had, like, 6 new games at PAX Unplugged. It's like, what? Like, come on. It's crazy. So there is definitely that to look forward to. It's like, some of that unknown, it's like, it's kind of hard to anticipate what you don't know, and that's part of the fun of this hobby, is that like there's always always a bunch of great games coming out, and it's like you never know what's going to get announced next. I mean, that's the thing. There could be that one like exciting thing that you haven't even considered, or maybe something that you're hoping for finally gets announced. Yeah. But regardless, I think I'm going to leave it here for now. If you've made it this far in the video, thanks for watching. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. Do all that fun stuff. Ringling the ding-a-ling bell. All that jazz. If you want, go a step further. Drop a comment below. Let me know, what are you anticipating for this year? What are you looking forward to? Have you even thought about it yet? I mean, it's still how early in the year, at the time of the recording of this, that is. It's still very early. Have you thought about what are you most anticipating? I mean, are you anticipating anything that I'm anticipating? Or is there something that I didn't mention that you think I should have? And even as I'm saying this, I am already thinking of things. I don't know that they would have necessarily made my top 10, but I can already think of even more things. And it's just, there's a lot. But we can talk about it below. Leave a comment if you like. If not, thanks for watching, and until next time, play more games.